Welcome to another Candid Convo, and today's guest is Jim Blake. Jim, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Jim, can you please introduce yourself to our audience? Let them know who you are and what you do.
Definitely. So I'm Jim Blake. I own Bambiz. We are a marketing agency, and we only work with elder law and estate planning attorneys throughout the United States.
And how long has your company been around? What do you do for them as well?
Yeah, we've been doing this since the end of 2016. If you're in that world of elder law and estate planning, I'm sure you've heard of us. What we're really specialized in is filling workshops and live events for elder law and estate planning attorneys with the marketing efforts that we use online.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any preferred type of business or customer, the type of people that you work with the best?
Yeah, I mean, typically these are going to be estate planning and elder law practices that are running or hope to run at some time, like a seminar in their local community. So to attract families, typically this is going to be maybe parents with kids, or all the way up to seniors that are, probably thinking about what if, myself or my loved one goes into a nursing home. So these attorneys are attracting those clients. We're really good at crafting the right messages to get in front of the right people at the right place. And then if they do workshops, get those workshops packed full of people so that they can go in there, they can educate them on what they do. And then hopefully during that workshop, the people enjoy talking with them and listening to them and the education that they're providing so much that they naturally just move into that consultation. And then hopefully from there, a client of theirs.
Wow. So you pretty much organized events for them. So how do your services work? Let's say I'm an estate planning attorney and I want to join because I want to host an event. How does that look like from the client's perspective?
Yeah, typically most of our clients come from referrals. So typically somebody's doing this already in another region of America, and they reach out and they're like, hey, you should try Bambiz for this marketing. So they'll set up a call with our team, find out if it's a good fit. If they've done events before, they have a willing or desire to speak to and educate the community, then it's probably a good fit. And then we run down what the next steps are. We need like a headshot photo. We give them a script for a video that we're going to put together for them. But we do pretty much everything. The only thing that they really need to worry about on their end is like following up with them. So like, hey, we got a bunch of people that signed up for this event. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to show up unless, they have a team of people. And a lot of our clients actually do have like people like from your team actually that are like marketing assistants or something like that follow up, pick up the phone, follow up with those folks, make sure, get them excited to attend the event. And we kind of coach them through all that as well. But yeah, that's kind of how the process looks like. We talk to them, we find out if it's a good fit. We give them our best practices and our playbook so that they can have a successful event. And then we run it. And then they run the event, have the event, and get more clients. So it's kind of goes in that. It's a little more complicated, actually, but in a nutshell, that's it.
I can imagine. There's a lot of planning going into this. The execution must be flawless. I imagine you have checklists and you're pretty much checking, okay, good to go, and then pretty much lift off. Can you give us an idea of what a success story looks like on your end?
Yeah, I mean, a success story really is going to be once someone starts with us, they're running their first event 3 to 4 weeks later. So if they're starting up with us today, 3 weeks from today, they're hosting their event. It takes us about a week to build it out. So they have to get it to us, like that's one of the big things, right? Like if you can get us the things that we're telling you we need, typically they're not hard, so they can get them to us within a week. We run the event campaign for 2 weeks. They host the event week 3, middle week 4, somewhere between week 3 and week 4. They go, wow, look at this. This actually worked. And then they do that again the next month. So the success story is they see it work with their own eyes within a month so that they can move on to the next step. A lot of marketing, and even other marketing we do, to be honest, I mean, we do other marketing than that. We do websites, we do social media, we do content creation, SEO, all sorts of different things. But all that marketing, it's more of like a long game. Like if you are consistent over time and you keep doing these things that we know work, you're going to see crazy results. Like if you're sending an email newsletter every single week, for example, over the course of time, like our long-term clients actually probably get more business out of the weekly email newsletter than they do these events. These are people that had signed up for events 4 years ago that never showed up, but now they are reaching out to the attorneys because they've been on their weekly email newsletter list for 4 years, so exponentially that's going to be better. But like a quick win, like they can see ROI within a month. Like I paid for this marketing, I had an event in 3 to 4 weeks, and now I have new clients. So that when they actually experience that within that first 30 days, they're super excited.
Yeah, and you know what? I would be, because this is a very interesting niche, the one that you have. I know you're not the only one out there that does something like this. I know whenever an attorney attends to, and an estate planning attorney, let's be very specific, attends to a trade show or a legal event, they're probably going to find various marketing agencies, and many of them fall back onto the, let's call them the usual suspects, right? So we go to SEO, or we go to building newsletters, or we go to building a marketing roadmap, and then from there, what's your social media plan looking like? But not many of them specialize in something as unique as, let me assist you in hosting an event, and an event at this level, which also combines many of the other items that we already have. So for example, newsletters are going, that's why they say marketing is the long end, like it's, you got to be patient for it, but it's the long run. In the long run, you're going to get clients out of this. So now people from your newsletter, which it's one of the usual suspects, are coming into that. It's very specialized. What got you into thinking, okay, this is where I want my firm to focus on? Because you're not a lawyer, but you do work with a ton of lawyers. I imagine, if maybe that's not your only client type, but estate planning attorneys, and that's what your business is focused at, I can imagine it's just niche specific. Am I right, or what do you think?
We only work with estate planning and elder law. Yeah. Sometime back years and years ago, we'd have people that had good success, and they're like, hey, my friend's a family law attorney. Can you help with their thing? Or, hey, I have a friend that's a financial advisor. Can you help with their thing? And you know what we have is a really successful thing when done in the exact steps that we have, and we know that it works, and we don't have to guess anymore. There's no guessing, like, is this going to work for this person? We know it works. So since that time, we really just only focused on the estate planning and the elder law firms, not the huge, like, probably, firms at 7 million and below, really, to give you an idea. Because above that 7 million, 10 million and up per year, those are going to be the big law firms that have their own marketing departments, that have their own thing going, and that's totally okay. But yeah, pretty much under that 10 million a year range, we're helping estate planning and elder law attorneys all over the United States.
Okay, so here's an interesting fact. We met at a trade show. We met at ClioCon. And this is for the people that, because there's a reason why we know each other. Not only do you have a very unique business, and from my perspective, it's something that marketing should focus on, events, not only attending them, but also like putting together an event. In this case, it's very specific for a practice area, right? But you went to ClioCon, that's where we met last year, and you were searching for something that would fit not only you, but I also imagine you were looking at what else is happening in the tech front. Because, well, Clio is where pretty much all vendors show for everything that's new, everything that's exciting. And you're not an attorney, you work with attorneys, but you found us because you wanted staff. We usually staff law firms, but we also staff not exclusive for lawyers, although that is our niche. And you were looking for a very specific type of profile. I remember that. It was not something that you'd usually find. Can you tell us a little bit about that story and how it panned out?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, like, a lot of law firms are going to relate to this. I mean, it's hard to find really good people, and so we've been blessed. We have great people on the Bambiz team, but keep doing that. As we're growing, as we're helping more law firms, it's to the point where it's like, okay, well, now we have to have this like cadence of like hiring people, right? Like, we're bringing people on, we're growing, we're helping more law firms, and like, one of the things I don't want to start sacrificing quality to bring more people on, right? So we actually have like a group of like-minded people in the industry that we kind of associate ourselves with. And so I was talking to one of my colleagues that actually works for another marketing agency, and I was like, how have you scaled up and kind of fought through this people issue, really? And then they actually mentioned, they said, hey, let's see that booth over there. We actually use some of their staffing solutions to bring in some people from Latin America to help us with certain tasks at our agency. Like, wow, let me go talk to them, and that's how I ended up wandering over to your booth and talking to you and meeting you, and it ended up being great. Right now we have 2 people on the team from Get Staffed Up, so it's been great.
So this is for the people that would like to work with you. So when somebody, and not on the client end, let's talk about the staffing end. If I'm going to be onboarded to your team, because I can imagine, was this your first time working with people from offshore?
No, so in the past, like when I first started this, and it got kind of to go back to your question, how did I even start this, right? So like back when I was not associated with like the legal industry at all. My background was in marketing and sales. And my wife actually worked for a company called Elder Counsel, they put on, now they're Wealth Counsel. They're all one big parent company now. But they put on a lot of like continuing legal education conferences throughout the country. And so I would attend those events with her, and she would basically like introduce me to some lawyers, and they would tell me about their struggles with marketing and marketing and sales. And so I started helping them for free. And then eventually over time, it's like, okay, well, instead of helping them for free, you should probably charge them, because they're lawyers and and you're doing work and they'll pay you. And so from that point moving forward, my free help turned into, hey, I'll see what I can do, and ended up replacing my salary, my corporate job. It turned into hiring staff, turned into making this a whole thing. So as and here we are in 2024 already, and it's big now.
I can tell by the size of your smile, this was also quite surprising for you.
If you would have told me back in 2016, so if you would have told me in like 2014, hey, you're going to be running a marketing agency and you're going to be working with elder law and estate planning attorneys all over the country, I would have basically laughed. And I think I would have actually said, what is elder law? I knew what estate planning was, but I wouldn't have known elder law. But here we are. So my experience working with like overseas like freelancers, I needed help back when we started. I said, not even we at this point, right? I started to grow this into something, and so I had hired somebody from the Philippines through an organization to help me with like just like spreadsheet tasks, because back then it was very manual process. I didn't have any systems. I just did one thing for one firm and it worked well. So I tried to do the same thing for firm number 2, and then the same thing for firm number 3. And then it was like, wow, there's only one gym and lots of stuff. So I hired somebody from the Philippines, and they came in and they kind of did what we needed to do. And we've worked with a couple here and there for different project-based things over the years. But the problem that we always had with them was not their hard work ethic or anything like that. It was more of just like the time zone. Like I like working with people that were like in my time zone. I didn't feel like they were not getting sleep at night and stuff like that. Like, oh my gosh, you're working. It's like you should be sleeping and enjoying time with your family and things like that. But they were working for Bambiz. And so we kind of moved away from that model, and that's when we started bringing people internally, and then keeping people locally. And we haven't been back and explored that until our conversation at Clio. And then I think it was around Christmas time this year or last year when we got our first staffer, I guess is how you guys call him, on the team, and he's been great. And then we've added another one since then.
Yeah, that's where I was wondering wondering off to, because I appreciate the fact that you worked offshore before. And you know what? When we were working with people from the Philippines, and I can tell you, we still have a couple of people from the Philippines in our team. They're fantastic. They're really, really good at what they do. However, that time zone difference it's big. It's very, very big. And not everybody this is not a comfortable arrangement for absolutely everybody. For some people it works out, for some people it doesn't. But in your case, we are currently running 7 different positions that we know law firms want. And you wanted something much more specific. You wanted an account manager, if I'm not mistaken, but somebody that was between sales savvy and at the same time marketing savvy. You wanted a position to follow up, to help you branch out as well. So I'm wondering, what type of tasks have you delegated to this person? Or if I was going to be onboarded to your team, what could I expect as an offshore remote staffer working with you?
Yeah, so that particular hire, we actually ended up going local for. And then we actually ended up getting somebody from Get Staffed Up that was like in your positions, the marketing assistant position, which it's pretty awesome because I mean you are catering towards lawyers, and he had never worked for a law firm, but knowing that he probably was going to be placed with a law firm, but then obviously we work with law firms, right? So like now instead of working with one law firm, now you get to work with many law firms. And so he's been helping us do all sorts of marketing tasks, and has been excellent. So yeah, then the next one we went with was an executive assistant. That's still brand new, only like a couple weeks old. But so far so good there. And then, yeah, I mean, basically every position that you guys have on your end, that for a law firm is the same for a marketing agency. They just, instead of doing it for the law firm, doing it for many law firms in a different type of capacity. So yeah, everything is this so far couldn't have been a better relationship.
Well, that is very I like your perspective on that. Very insightful because it actually works like that. We do pair up with companies very well when we share the same core values, of course. But in your case, and not only in your case, I want to talk about successful client stories. And I tend to notice that those are usually built on two ends of the equation. The first one is, of course, having somebody that's talented and wants to pick up on that and wants to learn what you have to offer and wants to become an extension of your business. But that doesn't work if there's no appropriate onboarding, if there is no communication, if there is no, okay, this person has already worked with a law firm, but they have no idea how to work with your digital marketing agency, specifically catering for events for elder law. So when you do this, and when you have those initial conversations ready, I just want to know, what are you doing to make your onboarding successful? Because something that I notice is that every happy person that we work with is because they, and in this case, you, have also taken the time by providing the necessary structure, asking them to draft SOPs. What are you doing on your end? Because, hey, if it's working out so good with the first one, you ask for a second one. So you're scaling up. What are you doing for that?
To be completely honest with you, it's not me at all.
Oh, wow.
So our team has done a really good job. Probably the past 8 months, one of our key areas of like the focus on was like making sure everything had like what you were calling like the SOP, right? Like the operating procedures. And so, and storing those in a certain place. So one of the things that luckily we've been doing for like the past 8 months or so, really having to focus on, is documenting those processes. So our team, and the part that was kind of new was we also, because everybody is local except for those two staffers, right? And so we wanted, the first week or so, it's like, hey, let's try to like throw as much stuff of them so they know about who we are as Bambiz. And then from there, let's go through our, what we call, they call them playbooks, but they're operating procedures, and find out the ones that we want to start handing off to these new folks. And so our team has been really good at coming up with like a checklist and like a schedule, and then putting those tasks in there, and then having them kind of like shadow for a while, like virtually shadow, like just how we're doing it right now, like on like a Slack huddle or a Zoom call, and then giving them one of those playbooks, those SOPs, having them do the SOP, and then keep working through those one by one as they start to get their day full. So I know that's what because the executive assistant kind of does fall more on me. And that's my thing right now. It's like, I'm trying to think of it more as like a long play on that one. So it's like, if I can just give her a thing and have her accomplish that thing over the next 6 or 7 weeks here, she'll have a lot of those done and be able to manage a bunch of those. The overwhelming part would be like, let's just do all those things right now today. And that would be an unrealistic expectation for that.
Well, then I do want to give credit, if not to you, then to your team, because maybe you were not thinking, okay, this is going to be perfect for when we onboard 2 virtual assistants from Get Stuffed Up or whatever other company we want to continue onboarding people. You wanted to have your systems in place. You wanted to have procedures in place. And that helped you make an onboarding a very light onboarding, because they know what to read. They know what materials also to go through, not just like reading materials, but also get to know the company that you're in, besides the different tasks that you're going to do. And you already had that like prepared on a nice little, hey, here's your onboarding packet. Now let's hop on a call and continue doing this. Now, I've noticed that that's been consistently one of the best ways of training somebody that's remote. But you do require to have a business that has everything in place. So that's where I want to congratulate you and your team, because if you didn't have this, then I would imagine onboarding would probably look a little bit slower. Now I'm wondering, I see that you have these systems in place. So for everybody that's listening, you know what Jim has to offer. You know what their team is usually doing for everybody out there, and you know part of that story. You also know the scaling processes in place. I wonder, what other type of systems do you have in place, and what's in store for the future? Like, what's making you the company that you are today, besides, of course, your staff? Now I'm thinking there's so many different marketing myths, so many people working with AI. So question one of my last two questions for you today is, what kind of systems do you have in place that pretty much confirm you into such a robust company?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the team, basically we have three products that we deliver to our law firms. So really refining and systematizing those three products, which we call Marketing Essentials, Marketing Plus, and Marketing Pro, so that someone that gets it in California and someone that gets it in New York, they can expect similar results, which is hard to do, especially with those geographic areas being so different.
Oh,
yeah. And the culture being different in those areas and everything like that. So we've really focused on trying to make us as easy to work with as possible, and trying to make the results basically as predictable as possible. And so that's basically what we're doing on a daily basis, is how can we simplify what we're doing to get the maximum results for our team? And our team's kind of like on the mission just to make that happen, because really at the end of the day, like, we sit around, we're like, okay, well, why grow for the sake of growth, right? That's one of the things, right? Like, I could be totally content not growing anymore if we just freeze Bambiz right now at where it is, and everybody would be just fine and happy, right?
mm-hmm.
But like, we don't get the impact. Estate planning and elder law is a unique part of law, where the impact that the lawyer has makes an impact in the community that they live in, like, immediately. Like, if you're protecting grandma's house and you're leaving a legacy for the family after you pass away, right? Then, like, by us doing marketing for a law firm could literally impact thousands of lives in that community, because more people were able to meet that lawyer, and more people were able to protect their family's assets, and more people were able to leave a legacy. So everything that we're doing, like I said, is trying to make things as easy for lawyers to work with us as possible. It's for us to get their name and their mission and their education out into their communities, so that we can have a bigger impact in across the whole country.
No, I honestly thought that the answer was going to be tech driven. And I am pleasantly surprised that it's not, especially from a business that focuses so heavily on marketing. I really appreciate the fact that you focus on honing your skills, improving on what you deliver, so you have standards to that across the board and across the country, and then continue capitalizing on that, asking yourselves, if we're going to grow, we're going to do it with a purpose, not because we just want to grow, or we can stag if we want to, but it looks like that's not what you want to do.
No, and we do have a lot of cool things with the technology, and we've built out a new AI. I guess they're called GPTs, right? So if we want to get real techie, that takes some of the content and things like that we create for the law firms, especially in like our entry level, like our Marketing Essentials package, and does some really cool things with that, so that they don't have to spend crazy amount of money to get really, really good content for their law firms, and with the help of what we write, and then the tools that we're developing with the AI. So that's always fun too.
It's both. Something to consider. It's both.
It's both. Yeah. So you lose a lot of lawyers when we start talking about the AI and the technology and this and that. Because again, my whole thing I just said before we even jumped into that was, how do we keep things simple, right? And so, like, the tools there, we make it simple. It's non-jargon. they can use it and they'll see value. But I don't want to lead with like buzzwords of the day, like AI. I want to show them like the results that they'll actually get. Like, look what your future client's going to see. This is what they're going to see. How did they make that? Actually, we used our content in this AI tool. We made this. How do you do that? This is how you do that. Wow. Let's go ahead and get that going for us. Great. So that's kind of the process there.
Well, and that, you know what, it prepares me for my last question, because being very mindful of your time, I know we're closing in on the end game here. What's in store for the future?
What is in store for the future? Well, we actually have a really cool event coming up. So we've never done like our own event. And so we're hosting an event in Denver in April 22nd, 23rd. Where we're going to basically just teach the attorneys how to run a successful workshop so that they have the knowledge to know, hey, this is how I run these workshops. Here's my headshot photos. We're going to take them for you. Hey, we're going to record your videos right at the event. This is the presentation that you should use. You can feel free to make modifications to it. This is how it should sound. And then we're going to also have other speakers out there that are teaching people about some AI tools and how to hire the right people. So that would be kind of like, here's some SOPs that you should give to a marketing assistant so that you can hire this marketing assistant and they follow up with the leads for your event. Here's the stuff that you should give to an intake specialist so that when they're calling these people and following up, this is what they should say and how they should say it, and et cetera. So we're going to be teaching all those people at that event in Denver. And that's called the Estate Planning and Elder Law Marketing Summit. So if they have any questions about that, they can go to estate planning, elder law marketing summit.com. I think that's what it is. Is that what it is, Jason? Yeah. Estate planning and elder law marketing summit.com and learn more.
Okay. And we'll make sure to have that added in the captions so that people can visit.
Perfect.
Jim, last 2 minutes is, can you please, in a nutshell, let people know where they can find you and what you can do for them?
Definitely, yes. If anybody is interested in getting some help with their marketing for their estate planning or elder law practice, they can visit us at our website, which is bambiz.net. That's B as in boy, A as in apple, M as in Mary, B as in boy, I like iodine, Z like zebra.net, not com. Well, you can do .com. It'll just forward you to .net. We have both, but that's where you'll find us.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. I'm really looking forward to hearing out how it went all during your event. And I wish you nothing but the best of success.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe, for having us.